Teal dear, feminists really do not understand feminism. Come with me and we'll find out why.
So, I'm a dude, right?
Sup, dude? Hey, while we're trying to get down with the kids, maybe you'd like to turn your chair around and sit informally so we can rap for a while.
I'm a cis dude.
Ah, привет, мой русский друг. Hello, my Russian friend.
And I'm also a feminist.
Roll credits.
But wait, doesn't that mean you hate men? I don't know what that voice was.
The sound of your bigotry?
No, as a matter of fact, it doesn't mean that I hate men. I am a man, so that would be kind of silly.
What is self-loathing?
The definition of feminism that I work with, and most people who identify themselves as feminists work with, is the fight for the equality of the sexes.
As opposed to the actual definition, which says equality for women. You will notice that the word that has in its definition the equality for all people is egalitarian. Seriously, take a moment to compare these two words. They are actually very different in their meaning. That's why they are two separate words.
Yes, there is a very loud, very angry minority of people who claim the term, whose real goal is to just dethrone men and put women in the place, but that's the exact same problem.
But it's fine, because they're not true Scotsmen, right?
There's always a huge discussion over the definition of feminism, and I just think that's rather silly.
But it's right there.
Right, I think there are a lot more bigger, important issues at hand here. I don't really care about what you label yourself as or what you don't label yourself as.
So much so that you have made an entire video about what you label yourself as.
So why do I, a dude, need feminism, right? I stand to benefit a lot from the current power structures of the genders, right? A lot.
Insert example here. We're waiting.
So completely disregarding the small fact that women are also people, and just general being a solid, decent human being, these are my selfish reasons for needing feminism.
No more first world problems. Oh, please God, no more first world problems. I can't handle any more of them.
I need feminism because in a world governed by the current gender roles applied to men and women, I would not be very successful at that. If all of a sudden I found myself time-traveled back into the 1950s, being married with 2 kids, having to provide for the family, having to make all the decisions completely for everyone in the house, oh God, I would not do well at that at all.
Very few people would. That's why all of those decisions and chores were divided amongst 2 adults, the man and the woman. My God, you make it sound like in the 1950s and before, women had no autonomy and made no decisions for themselves at all. It's almost like you think before the 1950s, women were not humans.
I'm shy, I'm passive, I'm definitely not good at making decisions for other people. That would be bad news bears, the family would fall the freak apart.
But feminism has constantly told you that by making decisions and by being a leader, you're a patriarchal oppressor. So what you've done is you've learned to not make all of these things. So all of these personality problems that you have actually been caused by feminism.
I work best in a relationship when the person that I'm with is my companion, when we're a team, making decisions together as like a, yeah, go us sort of movement.
So instead of one person who can't make a simple decision, you now have 2 people who can't make a simple decision. Do you have to call a crisis helpline every evening when you're trying to decide what to have for dinner?
Kind of related to that, I need feminism because I'm not very good at being a traditional man. I went to an all-guys high school, yeah, and I spent most of my time in high school trying to be a better dude.
You must have had a lot of time to think on that subject when you were crammed into those lockers.
I say try because I failed often, and sometimes I would slip and do something traditionally feminine, like sit with my legs crossed, or say something with a higher intonation in my voice.
Or show up wearing some nice frilly lacy panties on a day when you had gym class.
And did not end well from social status. If the goals of feminism succeed and everyone's allowed to exist as they are without any pressures from outside sources, yeah, that's great, but that's good for me. Right, I can just straight up do heel clicks in the hallways without being accused of being gay every 5 seconds, and that's pretty rad. I also don't have to worry about participating in the eternal pissing contest that is masculinity, because ironically, one of the most fragile things in human existence is traditional masculinity. You have all these dudes doing dude stuff together, all of a sudden one of them exhibits 1 iota, 1 shred of femininity, and all of a sudden he's a girl, or he's gay, or he's a pussy, or something like that. That's how it works. That's how stuff works.
I'm starting to think that you need feminism because that guy that bullied you in school was fucking the girl that you fancied. And after all this time, you still just can't get over it.
At the end of the day, despite the name feminism, it's all the same fight. Women's rights and men's rights are the same thing. Same fight, same battle.
Wait, hang on. You said something really good there, and I think we can crop out a lot of the fluff to get to the actual core of the issue.
Women's rights and men's rights are the same.
So you see, underneath all of that bullshit, there is some truth.
The reason that I and most people who call themselves feminists are okay with the term feminism being used, despite its implied message that women should be above men, is because women have been the systematically oppressed gender between men and women.
So, let me get this straight. If we take your statement as being absolutely 100% true that women have been entirely systematically oppressed throughout history, now, there is no proof for that because you haven't given it, therefore I'm going to dismiss it entirely out of hand because, once again, a claim made without evidence can be dismissed without evidence, but let's assume that that's true. You are now telling me that you are absolutely okay with feminism as a movement containing female supremacists because it's now women's turn to oppress men because that's what happened before. I don't think I'm the only person here who has just scratched his head and said, what the fuck, dude?
And that's not even taking into account trans people and anyone else who falls off the gender binary. You can call yourself a feminist, you can not call yourself a feminist, but at the end of the day, it's an important thing that we need to talk about.
So wait, whether I do or do not identify as a feminist is an important thing to talk about. But didn't you just say...
I don't really care about what you label yourself as or what you don't label yourself as.
Yeah, I thought so. But anyway, moving on.
Because despite those silly reasons why I need feminism because everyone needs feminism.
Because even if you disagree with feminism, even if you have evidence that proves that the claims of feminism are completely wrong, then you still need feminism, and you will accept it, you filthy patriarchal oppressive shitlord!
Because when I drive home from work and I hear songs like Blurred Lines and Talk Dirty to Me, which make women out to be an object of a man's pleasure, we gotta talk about it.
Because there are no examples out there of women singing songs that reduce men to objects of their pleasure.
Come here, rude boy, boy, can you get it up? Come here, rude boy, boy, is you big enough?
Oh.
When one of those songs gets voted to be the #1 hit of 2013, we gotta talk about it.
But when a song does the opposite and remains as a #1 single for several weeks of a year, we can just totally glaze on over that one, can't we?
When I talk to female friends of mine all the time about how they're constantly harassed and valued for only their appearance over the internet and in person while walking down the street, we gotta talk about it.
And that recent viral street harassment video has proved that saying good morning counts as harassment now.
And in this beautiful and imperfect world in which we live in, we have a lot of things we gotta talk about. There are a lot of people out there who say things like, we don't need feminism anymore because there are laws in place that make women equal to men. And yeah, that's true.
If a movement is campaigning for equal rights of several groups of people, and those several groups of people already have legal equal rights, then that movement is entirely redundant, isn't it?
We have come an incredibly long way, but we still have a real long way to go. And bottom line, just because it's a law, it doesn't mean it changes how people think. That change happens on an individual level, not on a systematic one.
Except for the oppression and mistreatment of women. That's systematic. That can't ever be done by an individual. That is entirely a systematic thing that everyone does, right?
It starts on the individual level, then it branches out, and eventually systematic and important cultural change happens. And that's what we gotta fight for. Because it isn't just women's fight, it's everyone's fight, and everyone stands to benefit from a world in which everyone can exist as themselves, and for everyone else involved.
Find me one example in the Western world where any type of person is legally discriminated against in any capacity. Also, the way you keep talking about the world, it really makes me think like you are referring to third world countries again. Places that, yes, have absolutely massive issues that do need to be fixed. But guess what? You are not the freaking world police. Other countries have other governments who will run their countries as they damn well please. You are not part of the electorate of that country. You are not part of the government of that country. You have no right to dictate what they should and should not do.
That's pretty much all I gotta say about that. Made a video about the F word. Feminism.
Oh, thank God it's over. I think I was actually starting to get a stomach ulcer from all of your goddamn doublethink.